Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's session where we are going to be looking at A-level curriculum, that is subsidiary ICT for Uganda. Have brought for you all the curriculum ICT topics, that is 1 out of 15, and we shall kick off with the introduction to computing and the recommended coverage, that is 12 periods, and we expect to cover that in 2 weeks. And we shall kick off with Senior 5 Term 1. And once again, this is Charles Faizo, IT Doctor, the facilitator. And you can reach him on my contact, that is 0786594262 or 0759853346, and on email, that is richardfaizo@gmail.com. and if you on TikTok, I'm there. You shall get to know about that later. Let's go to our business, and that is looking at ICT Alevel. It's really an interesting coverage. I've compiled for you all the very important topics to my best, as you shall look at them. Once again, thank you for liking this YouTube channel. Please continue to share it to other colleagues so that they get to know what happens in the ICT world. Let's look at the background. The topic introduces the learner to computers, their use, and implication of using them in a variety of fields. For example, in education sector, how computers have implicated that sector or that field. It is developed bearing in mind that most of the learners might be encountering the subject for their first time, so they need to attain the background knowledge to use computer system across a number of fields. It should be well handled to give the learner a solid foundation in the subject. Learning outcome: the learner should be able to describe the application of information and communication technologies in the society. So this is a notes to take to all teachers. If we are attending to our learners, please make sure you do that for us. We have the presentation outline. We have subtopics and introduction to computing. 1.1, we have introduction to computers. We have world of ICTs and implications of using ICTs. Introduction to computers, these are the subject, or what we call the subtopic objectives. 1, describing a computer, identifying different parts of the computer and their uses, making a distinction between information and data, and describing the information processing cycle. So these are the subtopic objectives which we are going to be looking at in this session. A computer, you may ask yourself, what is really a computer? A computer is an electronic device that receives the data, processes that data, stores it, and produces a result, or what we can call an output. A computer you can also define as an electric device that can accept or input data, processes it, stores it, and then after it outputs information. So that is really a computer, and you should know that a computer has those 4 functions. That is, it inputs, it processes, stores, and output. Those are the major functions of the computer. So anything which is in that category, for us, we consider it to be a computer. A computer system is more than a box, like some of us we know it, with components. It encompasses 4 elements that make machines fully useful. That's why we call it a computer system. A computer system is comprised of the hardware, software, data, and then the users who are going to be using the machine. Then let's first look at ICT and IT. What's really ICT? ICT stands for Information and Communications Technology. It is an umbrella term that includes any communication device, for example, radio, TV, phones, computers, and network hardwares, softwares, satellite systems, and many others. So what we mean by ICTs, these are just communication devices which we can use to transfer data or to communicate information from one place to another. For example, we have looked at a computer, which is also among the communication devices, which means it is also under ICT. So ICT is a general word where we combine all the communication devices. Hope we are together. So that is what we call ICT. Apart from communication devices, we also have what we have mentioned about something like a software here and the hardwares, satellite system. These are all ICTs. So if we mention about ICT, don't look at only hardwares or communication devices. That means ICT is wide. That's why we have a term which we call an umbrella term. Then let's look at IT. What you mean by information technology is the use of computers for storage, networking, and other physical devices to create, process, store, secure, and exchange all forms of electronic data. Now, we need to understand the difference between ICT and IT. IT is more than ICT because here we expect a learner or a student or a teacher or anybody. This is whereby someone has special skills in using computers to do specific tasks. That's what we call IT. How can you use your phone to design, for example, a logo? That means now you are using what we call IT knowledge or IT skills. How can you use a computer to design a website? That means now you are implying or applying IT skills. For you now, you are more than what we call ICT. You get it? For you are utilizing the resources. You're using the skills you have and the devices to create or process. And our target here is to process information. That's what we can call IT. After this, look at some of the parts or components of a computer. We can look at the computer system as it is here. We have the desktop computer. This is what we can call a desktop computer. A desktop computer is comprised of the monitor. It is comprised of the keyboard. It has a system unit. I think it is under this table somewhere. Just assume that it's there. Then, but our emphasis here, we are trying to show you what we call a computer system. You can look at the four components which makes what we call a computer system, and that is the hardware here, as you can look at it. This is the computer, the hardware. That is the monitor, the screen. So this is the hardware. We can look at a printer here. That is also under what? Hardwares. Keyboard is there, the mouse is there. Those are all hardwares. You get it? Then we have what we call softwares. The softwares, they are here. These are in the form of the CDs or programs. We can call them softwares. We can call them programs which are in these CDs, so they can be installed on a computer here. And this one makes software, even the data which is inside the what. So we have data and information. There are some hard copies. The information can be in the form of a hard copy and can be in the form of soft copy. The hard copy is the one which is on a piece of a paper. I think she was typing, and then there is a soft copy which is inside the what? The screen, or which is on the screen. And then after that, we expect this user, actually this is the user who's using these devices, to make a printout produce more hard copies if necessary. That's why a printer is also on the on the side. So that's majorly the components of the computer system. We have looked at the user, the person who's using a computer, and then we have looked at the data which is inside the computer, and the one which is on a piece of a paper. Then we have looked at the hardwares, because then we have the softwares in and out. What makes a computer system? Every device or every component must be there for each other. These devices need each other so that they can operate, and that's what makes a computer system. Briefly, there are different parts of the computer. We have tried to label some of them. Like we have a monitor here, that is a monitor. We have a keyboard, as you can look at it. There is a mouse there. Then we have a printer on the other side. Then we can look at the speakers, they are also there. Then we have what we call a computer case, where the processor is, or what we call a CPU, where it is stored, and we also call it a system unit if you don't call it the computer case. Then after that, we have on this case still, there is what we call a CD-ROM drive, where we insert a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM drive, where we insert the CDs. Then we also have what we call a floppy disk drive. For those computers which were there some time back, they used to have what we call floppy disk drive. So can you name any other device that can work with the computer that we are not listed? That's the question I'm leaving for you. You can put it in comments so that we can always enlighten our knowledge. So those are the parts of the computer, and it is comprised of two major components. That is the system unit, which we have looked at, and peripheral devices. Of course, we have also looked at them. So how do you understand a computer system or a system unit? It is a box like this that has the electronic components of the computer used to process data. It is made up of metal or plastic and protects the internal electronic components like a motherboard, hard disk drive, memory board, etc. This is what we are talking about. This is what we call a system unit. So this system unit, it is comprised of internal electronic components which are used to store data. We have mentioned a hard disk, we have mentioned the CPU, or what we call a processor, we have looked at a motherboard. They are all inside here, what we call a system a system unit. Then we also have what we call peripheral devices. These are devices that connect to the system unit using cables that transmit data and information to and from devices. For example, a keyboard is a peripheral device. We have a mouse, that is a peripheral device. We have a printer, anything which is connected to a system unit or a computer case by using a cable, it is called a peripheral device. And these are them. We have the keyboard. I've told you it helps it helps the user to input data or enter data instruction to the computer. We have the mouse, of course, which is used to enable the user to move the cursor to different positions on the screen. We also have the printer, which is used to produce information on a piece of a paper, or what we call a hard copy. Then lastly, we can look at the monitor, which is a television-like structure that enables the user to see what is going on in the computer. So those are very important parts of the computer, or which you can call peripheral devices. What are these features, or what are features of the computers? Sometimes we can call them advantages. These characteristics of the computer. If you want to understand a computer, you need to know its features. That's why we have fixed in this element, because it is very important. First of all, a computer is automatic. Everybody knows that. But how a computer is automatic? First of all, they work under less external control. They don't need any supervision in order to perform programmed routines. For example, if a computer is programmed, that means it's going to do its work automatically. We can give an example of electronic report cards. We can look at alarms on our phones, even on our smartphones, or on our computers. We can set them and they do the work automatically. We can look at database management systems, which makes work simpler for us. You get it? So if you set, there is even also what we call electronic voting or digital what? Voting. So those are the features of a computers. That's what they do to simplify work. That's why you can use these points as advantages. Then we have artificial intelligence, AIs. This is the world of AIs right now. Actually, what we call .com world, where AIs are now the order of the day, because they have tried to simplify people's lives. Computers are artificial intelligent. If you didn't know that, they can respond to any request given to them and provide what? Solutions. For example, we always play games on computers or on our phones. You can always play a game, you lose or you win. Have you ever imagined if you lose, that means you have lost to a computer? Computer have challenged you. And that means those computers are using what we call artificial intelligence. And nowadays, we are TikTokers. People are now using AIs to manipulate data and information. AIs are used to do a lot of things. People chat or talk with AIs. You get it? So this one is the order of the day. I won't take much time on it, but still we shall have time for it. Actually, it's quite the whole day. Then we have diligence. This is the ability of the computer to perform the same task over and over for long hours without getting bored. You can give an example of robots. You guys, you can use a computer and you will get tired, but a computer is still standing and really functioning very well. But for you who's using it, you already what? Tired. I can give a simple example of these robots. If you have employed a robot, for example, in a hospital, like those people who work night shifts, someone can leave a robot for him and rest. Then comes back when the robot is carrying out those tasks. You get it? So those in factories, they are used there, but in a simpler actual understanding, you can take a note of those people who go for discos, for example. You can dance the whole night, but you can still at a time and feel tired. You get it? So if you get tired, but the machine or the music will still be what? Played, and that means the machine will be on for you already out, but the machine is still okay and it's still functioning well. So that means these machines that have the ability can perform the same task for a longer time, but still does get tired or bored. Another one, you can look at speed, because computers are quite fast in the operations. It's capable of completing millions of instructions per second. That is MIPS, and actually, for example, if you wanna do anything very fast, you guys, you should apply computer skills and see how things are going to be solved faster. Here you can give an example of population census. Actually, it has been recently carried out in Uganda last year, and these people use gadgets, ICTs, like tablets and smartphones, to carry out those activities for census. You saw how fast they did their work. After someone interviewing, he had to send the information to the headquarters there and then. So they had to actually compute the data which is submitted within the shortest period of time. And by the end of the day, they have all the what? The analysis results. So that is what we call speed. That's what the computer does, and has a lot of things does. When you look at storage, computers have the internal storage, or what you call memory, for storing both instruction data being processed. Remember, once we talk about memory, we can talk of RAM, that is random access memory. We can also look at hard disk. It depends on the storage capacity of those storage devices inside. And remember, if the storage is not enough, still can add what you call external devices or external hard disk. It is also there. You can add flash disks to keep for you the information that you want. So computers are used for that. That's why it is really dependable and reliable. Accuracy, ability of the computer to really make mistakes, and this largely depends on the quality of input. Hence the saying, garbage in, garbage what? Garbage out. That's giggle. Yep, giggle. That is what we are talking about right now. Nowadays, it is rarely, actually, a computer does not really make mistakes. It rarely make mistakes. Most of the time, it is us, the users, who always scapegoats the computers. We always have this saying, it was a computer error, it was a computer error, you know. That is scapegoating. But in your sense, there's the garbage in, garbage out, which means you will always get the wrong output so long as you entered the wrong input. If you enter the right data, you'll get the right information. If you enter wrong data in the computer, you'll get wrong information as a what? As the output. A simple example. If I mistakenly write my name Faizo by typing it in the computer, you get it. If I type Faizo like F-I-Z-O, Fizo, that means that is Fizo. Of course it won't be Faizo. You get it. Is that a computer mistake or it's my mistake? So you can ask that for yourself when you see how things. There are other actually features of computers or advantages, but we can mention but if you maybe, there's one more which is really very important, like reliable. These machines are actually reliable. Yeah, computers are reliable, whereby nowadays people no longer live without them. They depend on them, they are always on them 24 hours. You get it. So that is all right I have for you. You can always make more research on the futures. Let's look at computer data and information. That is 1.3, and this is our last topic. These are facts, raw facts and figures used to create information, or you can call them, these are raw facts that are entered in a computer. Data may consist of characters, numbers, symbols, letters, which are used to create information. Remember, you first enter data by using a keyboard. That's why we have this keyboard here. This gentleman was using a keyboard to enter data in a computer. These are facts. He's trying to create what we call information. You get it? So he's using characters on a keyboard. Remember, our keyboards have characters, have symbols, have numbers. You get it? So that's what we use to enter data, or that's what we use to create information. Let's look at information. This is first to process the data that makes meaning and is useful. For example, anything which is useful after being processed is what we call information. If I enter data in a computer, that means that data is going to be processed into what? Information. That's why here we are saying it refers to the processed data that makes meaning and useful. For example, this figure here, 10082006, may be input as data, but once this same figure is converted to the format, that is 10th of August, that is 2006, you realize that is a date. I hope you're getting sense out of that. Okay. This figure here is really not really clear. Some people may try to interpret in many ways, but if I convert it into information, this is data. Let's take this to be data, and this is information. So if I try to convert this information, this data here, into information, it's going to make a meaning. It's going to make sense. Like this figure here, I can simply convert it to be our date. That is 10th August 2006. So that is what we call information after being what? Processed. Computer information is organized into files, which are a collection of data grouped together and given a name. Of course, information are always files. Once we organize our data and process it, it turns into files. And those files can be words. A word like school, a word like cow, a word like girl, a word like boy, a word like Manchester United, so any word, as long as it is useful, as long as it is understandable, that's what we call information. And from those words, that's why we can create what we call sentences, and from sentences, that's where you can create documents. And under documents, we have different documents which are our information from files, or what we call them files. We have reports. You can talk of CVs here. You can talk of newspapers. Those are all kind of information. Sound or music, once you listen to any song, inside that song, you realize that there is information which is being conveyed. Then you have videos. Those videos, of course, they convey a lot of information, plus the images. So that is all about information, because they make information clearer and understandable. So let's go to our last item, that is the information processing cycle. And you can look at the information processing cycle as the sequence of events in processing information. These are sequence or series. You can call them series of events in processing information, which includes input, processing, storage, and output. Remember, these processes work together and repeat over and over. It is a process. So if the process of converting data into information, these are the steps we go through so that we get the information that we want. Like, you enter data in a computer by using a keyboard. You can use a mouse, you can use joystick. You input it by using those devices. Then after that data is going to be processed. It's going to be what? Processed by what? By a CPU, what we call the processor, or the central processing unit, which is always in here. And remember, it has three major controls. We have the control unit, we have the arithmetic and logic unit, and we have the registers. They are under the CPU to assist its operations. So the data which is put here is processed. But remember, the reason why you have two arrows here, once this data is processed, some data is stored first. Actually, if you input data, some data is stored before being processed. And sometimes after being processed, some data is also stored. So you can, if you input data, some data is stored first before processed, and other data is processed first before being stored. That's why we have two arrows here. One is going up and one is going down, which means these processes really, they interacting, or they work together. So after that, this data which is, or actually now if the data is processed, that now it turns into information. Now this information is going to be output. It's going to be output, and that's going to be information. We output by using some of the output devices, like a monitor. It can be displayed on a screen, like by using a projector, and any other device, even a printer. You get it. There are many other output devices. So with those few remarks, that's what I had for you today in this session. That is it. Please continue to subscribe to my YouTube channel.